everybody, welcome into the Horns Report here from the KXAN Live Studios. I'm Billy Gates, and yes, this is the Horns Report. I already said that. Where we talk about things, all things UT athletics. I'll spit it out here eventually. With me is Noah Gross, KXAN Sports Reporter. Noah, thank you for joining me today.
Of course,
it's very nice of you. To join me.
It's not easy.
You fit me in your busy schedule.
Yeah, if you're wondering where Roger is, speaking of busy schedule, at some beach or lake or something.
Roger's on vacation. It's summertime
I'm
for
sure,
old Raj.
I think he'd rather be here, though, obviously.
I don't think so. I think he'd rather be on vacation.
Probably.
Anyway, before this thing gets too off the rails, we're actually talking about Longhorns athletics here. Kind of just a bunch of little nuggets today, so there's nothing real consistent going on right now. It being July, and we're sort of in the dog days until fall football camp gets started. So, Noah, take us through some baseball recruiting news. Texas has made a couple pickups in the transfer portal from Arizona State. Thomas Burns and who was the other one? We were talking about this off air. So
Ethan Mendoza.
Ethan Mendoza. So Burns is a pitcher. Mendoza is an infielder. Just give us some details on those folks for us.
Yeah, and they actually flipped a recruit. I believe that was originally committed to Texas A&M as well. So things look pretty good for Texas baseball right now. And you kind of figured, that can happen as a new coach comes in. Pretty much regardless of the sport, there's going to be an influx of new recruits because there's excitement around the program. There's something new. They did lose a recruit who had apparently a good relationship with David Pierce because the recruit in something online posted a note saying, due to the recent coaching changes, requesting release from my NLI or something of this sort. So, there's players in, there's players out as is expected. But the biggest thing, and I think we've talked about this before, is how much talent they've retained. Must have been a good NIL meeting or something because they had all those guys, Max Ballou, Grubbs, everybody seemingly is coming back. Guys like Kimball Schuessler as well. So retaining a good amount of talent and bringing some guys in, two from Arizona State, a solid former Pac-12 program. So things look pretty good for the baseball program under soon-to-be first-year head coach Jim Schlossnagle.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of thought that Schlossnagle could keep a lot of the guys just because of his past, right? I mean, 18 years at TCU, taking them to the College World Series like 6 times. Past 3 seasons at A&M, taking them to the College World Series twice, beating Texas in the regionals to do it this past year. So, I mean, you have to think that game's got to recognize game there at least, right?
Yeah, and as we said, I mean, generally there's going to be an influx of excitement and just energy around a program when a new coach comes in, and to have Schlossnagle and everything that surrounded that, I mean, that had to be the biggest college baseball news outside of a game in years. Everyone was talking about that. It made national news. So, there was a lot of talk around this Texas program, and clearly there's a big investment from Chris Del Conte, the athletic director, and really the athletic staff as a whole in baseball to get Schlossnagle. We've talked about that, what that took financially, and just kind of the flack that they took as a university for doing that, and that he took, and then now to retain everybody that they've retained and get these new guys. Right. A big focus on baseball right now for UT.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, obviously, it looks like the core is remaining for Texas baseball, and Chris Del Conte wants to make it one of the flagship programs at Texas. I mean, it always has been. I mean, really, the most College World Series appearances out of any university in the history of college baseball. So we'll see how this moves forward, and we'll keep y'all posted about other recruiting news because the transfer portal pretty active these days with all the coaching changes.
Yeah, and Billy, if I could just add one more quick thing about baseball, as we were just talking about before, MLB draft coming up next week.
Oh yeah,
and Texas has a couple key names in there, notably LeBaron Johnson. We'll see what he does after kind of a year where he struggled last year. Jalen Flores and Jared Thomas. So there were a couple guys last year for Texas that we thought would go to the MLB and elected to stay. So we will. We'll kind of see where that goes. Night 1 gets underway Sunday night next week. And then also with recruits, they have a top 10 projected guy, Bryce Rainier from, I think it's California. I think it's Harvard Westlake, which is the high school where they produce 5 MLB players.
Right, yeah. Year. Will Gasparino's high school, actually.
Yeah, and then
freshman center fielder for the baseball team. Yeah,
local product Theo Gillen as well, another projected.
Westlake kid. Yeah, a lot of Westlakes producing athletes around the country.
Absolutely, as is
always
been the case.
Yes, probably. Yeah.
MLB draft next week. That's another big step for Texas as well.
Right on. And moving forward, like I said, this could be a bunch of nuggets of information. former Longhorn Royal Ivy. He was a guard
Yeah.
for the Longhorns early 2000s. Right now, he is a assistant coach for the Houston Rockets. But now he is also, there's a picture of him. That was the only one I could find of him in a Texas jersey. I'm sure he'll appreciate that if he ever sees this. He probably won't. But if someone wants to show him, here we go. Royal, he has been the coach for South Sudan's national team for a couple years now. But he was now officially named their head coach for the upcoming Olympics that they qualified for through FIBA Africa and their region. Super, super cool story. So South Sudan has kind of emerged out of civil war, basically, and it's only been a recognized country for about 10, 13 years, somewhere along those lines. And this will be South Sudan's very first appearance in the Olympic Games, and they've got a former Longhorn as the head coach. I mean, that's just cool. I mean, I love the Olympics, man. Like, I love stuff like this.
And especially the basketball Olympics this year are going to be awesome. There's really fun stories like that, Royal Ivy, and then there's obviously the USA team, and then there's guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo, as I almost break the microphone here.
Don't do that. Those are expensive.
Yeah, I've broken enough stuff here. But I think the basketball Olympics are going to be extremely fun, and for him to represent his country like that is going to be outstanding. So whoever does end up showing this picture to Royal Ivy, maybe you could also send us his contact information, because we would love to talk to him about this experience and everything surrounding it.
Yeah, no, super cool. And South Sudan, the tournament organizers were nice enough to put them in the same group as the United States. So maybe that's going to be a little tough out of the gate for them. The groups for the men's basketball tournament, we'll do the women's basketball tournament in a later show, by the way, just so you know we're not forgetting. Yep. Group A features Canada, Greece, Australia, and Spain. You mentioned Giannis Antetokounmpo. He leads the Greek team. Group B is Germany, France, Brazil, and Japan. And then Group C, the United States, Serbia, Puerto Rico, and South Sudan. So Royals Club is going to open up against Serbia, Puerto Rico, and the United States. Hopefully they're able to be competitive. I know that's a pretty tough group when it comes to international basketball. Puerto Rico is kind of sneaky good, and Serbia is always going to be good because they've always got great athletes over there. So
and you see this in a lot in international competitions, whether it's, I mean, obviously soccer is the big one, and like Euro going on right now, as well as Copa America. These countries that might not always be there are able to attract such an incredible following because their fans, their players, their coaching staff appreciates the moment maybe more than somebody like the United States who's there every year and is the favorite. So it could be a really cool story, and obviously with Royal leading the charge as well, we'll be kind of keeping an eye on it here at KXAN. Absolutely,
and good luck to Royal and the rest of the South Sudan team. That is really neat, and obviously as the tournament moves on, we'll learn more about them and their story, but it's certainly one to watch for when the Olympics get started here in, 2.5-3 weeks. Coming up.
Very soon.
It's coming up. All right. And speaking of good stories, got another good story about a former Longhorn. Lulu Sun, she played tennis for the Longhorns 2021, just 1 year, her freshman year, helped lead the Longhorns to a national championship. Pretty cool. And now she became the first player to play in both the qualifying rounds and advance to the quarterfinals at some tournament called Wimbledon. I don't know if you've heard of it, Noah.
I
know you're kind of new to like sports or whatever.
Very new.
They play on grass. Did you know that?
That I actually
very
have heard
short
of.
grass.
Yeah, that I have heard of.
I couldn't fathom that when I was a child because the tennis courts we had growing up in Eastern Oregon were just all like hard, like cement, whatever, concrete with the paint, all that stuff.
A little different out there.
I could not understand how you could play tennis on grass.
I bet you also couldn't predict Lulu's son would make it to the quarterfinals.
No, I didn't know who that was. But anyway, she's competing for New Zealand, and let's see if we've got some photos of her. Here we are. She's competing under the New Zealand flag, like I said, and she beats Great Britain's Emma Raducanu there in the fourth round in 3 sets. And as you might imagine, the crowd pretty pro her opponent since she was the local there. But after the match got over with, Lulu started to do her post-match interview, and the crowd just erupted in cheers for her. Like they just immediately sort of adopted her as one of their own. That was a really neat thing to see. And I know you've got some numbers about the earnings that Sun has already racked up. She's done pretty well for herself in this Wimbledon.
Well, I was going to plug your story.
Thank you.
On our website, KXAN.com. Obviously, we kind of give you the headline there. Lulu Sun, former Longhorn, heading to the quarterfinals in Wimbledon. And Billy, I mean, you wrote about it. Mm-hmm. She's made more money already than she had in 2024, her career.
Her entire career, yeah.
Yeah, and then if she wins in the quarterfinal, she makes just under $1 million, $750,000, I believe. So, pretty big paycheck for Lulu Sun so far. Obviously, life and career-changing success. And the most amazing thing to me is she had to win a couple qualifying matches to even get into the main draw of Wimbledon. So this stuff happens once in a while, and some qualifier will have some success, an underdog will have success. Last year, the women's singles champion kind of came out of nowhere as well. So this year, Lulu Sun still playing unbelievably. And you mentioned the match with Emma Raducanu. Not only is she the hometown favorite representing Britain, she's won a Grand Slam before. So Sun coming out of nowhere and was playing unbelievable, kept it really competitive in the second set where she lost and they were tired in the third set, as she said.
I believe she lost the second set in a tiebreak, right?
Yeah, it was very close. I think she got broken actually in her last game, but regardless, very close. So an unbelievable run Sun is on, and we actually have, I want to plug this as well, coming up on KXAN News at 6. I just found a very, very good soundbite from Sun on why she chose Austin and a slight dig at a former Big 12 rivals town. So we'll have that soundbite from Sun coming up at 6.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Spicy.
I don't think it was intended to be a dig necessarily, but Texas fans are certainly taking it
That's what we call a tease in the biz. That's a tease. No, you're a tease. A couple more things about Sun here. She's the first ever former Longhorn tennis player to make it to a quarterfinals in a Grand Slam event. And in case you're wondering, tennis Grand Slams are Wimbledon, the French Open, the U.S. Open, and the Australian Open. Those 4 of them, Grand Slam. You understand. You're smart. And yeah, like we were talking about it earlier, she's made just over $300,000 in her career. She's ranked 123rd in the world. So, like, that's why she had to go through the qualifier. She had to play 3 qualifying matches, won all of those in, I believe, straight sets, and then got into the tournament and has won 4 straight matches. She faces Croatia's Donna Vekic, ranked number 37th overall. I know how to pronounce Croatian names. That's one of my weird skills. She's ranked 37 in the world, so pretty big discrepancy there in the world rankings. However, Sun will vault into the top 100 once the tournament's over with. Certainly. No matter how this match ends in the quarterfinals. And yeah, so she's already going to pocket about $470,000, whatever the exchange rate is in pounds, because that was all the info I could find. It was Wimbledon giving out prize money in pounds because it was in England after all. So I had to do a little bit of math there. But if she wins quarterfinals, gets to the semis, she's going to be taking home $750,000. So that's a pretty good day.
Yeah, what an incredible
I wish I could have a day like that.
That would be nice. So, and as you mentioned, playing Vekic tomorrow, that one's at 7 a.m. Texas time.
Local time, so yeah, get up bright and early for that.
And she's the underdog again, but she's been the underdog before. She wasn't expected to make the tournament and then let alone win all these matches. And Vekic is somebody who's had Grand Slam success before, so, and she's been playing outstanding. Watched her last match, so I'm very excited. 7 a.m. is a bit early for me, kind of get home from work late, but maybe I'll
sports
wake up
is the late shift, so I have to get up and
but we'll have coverage tomorrow.
Get the coffee going. Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we'll leave that here for this episode of the Horns Report. Thank you so much for watching. For Noah Gross, I'm Billy Gates, and we'll talk to you again very soon.